Thinking, Fast and Slow. By Daniel Kahneman. Daniel Kahneman's Thinking, Fast and Slow is a groundbreaking exploration of how the human mind works. Kahneman, a Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, synthesizes decades of research into cognitive psychology and behavioral economics to explain the dual system theory of the mind. The book is structured around two modes of thinking: the fast, intuitive, and emotional system, System 1, and the slow, deliberate, and logical system, System 2. Through this framework, Kahneman unveils the cognitive biases and heuristics that shape our judgments and decision-making, often in irrational ways. This expanded summary outlines the key ideas in the book and explores how these concepts apply. System 1 and System 2, the dual process model. Kahneman's central thesis is that the human brain operates using two systems. System 1 is automatic, fast, and requires little effort. It is responsible for snap judgments, pattern recognition, and emotional reactions. System 2 is slow, analytical, and effortful. It engages in conscious reasoning, logic, and critical thinking. While System 1 is necessary for everyday functioning, enabling us to quickly react to situations, it can also lead to flawed thinking when used in complex or unfamiliar contexts. System 2, though more accurate, is lazy and often defers to System 1 unless prompted. Heuristics and biases. Kahneman explains how heuristics, mental shortcuts used by System 1, can be both helpful and harmful. These heuristics are efficient for decision-making under uncertainty, but they also introduce predictable biases. Availability heuristic. Judging the likelihood of events based on how easily examples come to mind. Anchoring effect. Relying too heavily on the first piece of information encountered. Substitution. Replacing a hard question with an easier one without realizing it. Representativeness heuristic. Judging probabilities based on stereotypes rather than actual statistics. These biases contribute to systematic errors in judgment, especially when people rely solely on intuitive thinking without engaging analytical reasoning. Loss aversion and prospect theory. One of Kahneman's most influential contributions to economics is prospect theory, developed with Amos Tversky. This theory challenges the classical economic assumption of rational actors. Prospect theory suggests people value gains and losses differently. Losses loom larger than gains. Losing $100 feels more painful than gaining $100 feels rewarding. Individuals tend to make risk-averse decisions when faced with potential gains and risk-seeking decisions when facing losses. This theory helps explain irrational financial behavior such as holding on to losing stocks too long or refusing to take necessary risks. Overconfidence and the illusion of validity. Kahneman illustrates how people are prone to overconfidence in their judgments, even in the face of contradictory evidence. He introduces the concept of the illusion of validity, our tendency to believe in the accuracy of our predictions even when they are based on unreliable data. Professionals often make decisions with misplaced confidence because System 1 produces coherent narratives, even with incomplete information. System 2 fails to intervene and critically assess these stories. Regression to the mean. Kahneman warns against ignoring statistical principles such as regression to the mean, which is the tendency for extreme outcomes to return closer to average over time. When people misinterpret temporary variation as meaningful change, they risk drawing erroneous conclusions, especially in performance evaluations and forecasting. The planning fallacy. Another critical insight is the planning fallacy, our tendency to underestimate how long a task will take or how much it will cost. This is rooted in optimism bias and the failure to account for past experiences and base rates. Kahneman recommends adopting an outside view that considers statistical data and previous outcomes rather than relying on an overly optimistic internal forecast. Applications in the business world. The insights from thinking, fast and slow have profound implications for business leadership, strategy, marketing, and organizational behavior. 1. Decision-making and risk management. Business leaders often make high-stakes decisions under uncertainty. Understanding the limits of intuitive thinking can encourage a more disciplined, data-driven approach. Leaders can use System 2 more deliberately in complex decisions. Create structured decision-making processes. Use pre-mortem analysis to anticipate potential failures. 2. Hiring and performance evaluation. Kahneman criticizes intuitive hiring based on first impressions. He advocates for structured interviews and algorithms, which outperform human judgment. In performance evaluation, being aware of regression to the mean can prevent overreacting to temporary performance spikes or dips. 3. Forecasting and strategic planning. Business planning is vulnerable to the planning fallacy. To counter this, use historical data and base rates. Develop contingency plans. Incorporate dissent and challenge assumptions. 4. Marketing and consumer behavior. Marketers can leverage insights from prospect theory and loss aversion. Frame products in terms of potential loss, don't miss out, to boost sales. Understand that consumer preferences are influenced more by relative comparisons than absolute values. 5. Behavioral finance. Investors and financial managers can benefit from understanding biases like overconfidence, loss aversion, and anchoring. Awareness of these pitfalls can lead to more rational investment decisions and risk assessments. 6. Organizational culture. Promoting an environment that values reflection, data, and open feedback helps reduce the impact of cognitive biases. Encouraging slow thinking in appropriate situations leads to better strategic outcomes. Conclusion. Thinking fast and slow is a transformative work that challenges the myth of human rationality. Kahneman demonstrates that while our fast, intuitive thinking is useful and often necessary, it must be tempered with deliberate, logical reasoning in situations involving complexity, uncertainty, and high stakes. By applying these lessons in the business world, organizations and leaders can make more thoughtful, strategic, and ultimately successful decisions. If you enjoyed this summary, drop a like. Be sure to subscribe for more leadership and personal development-based content in less than 10 minutes. Kahneman, Daniel, Thinking, Fast and Slow. Farrar, Strauss and Giroux, 2011.